It's nearly time for the Avatar: The Last Airbender pre-release, and in this video I'm showing you how to bend the competition. I'll be running through with you what to expect from the pre-release, the mechanics, the archetypes, the best creatures, best spells and best disruption pieces. And again, thank you to Wizards of the Coast, we've got another cheeky little deck build at the end of the video. I've put chapters down below so you can skip to the bits that you need. My name's James, better known as MTG Versus. Let's get into what you should expect from a pre-release. Pre-releases are the best way to experience a new set, whether you're a beginner or an experienced player. Everyone has a level playing field. Each pre-release pack comes with 5 play boosters, a spin down die, and 1 seeded booster, which we haven't seen since Dragonstorm Tarkir, and I love these seeded boosters. So the boosters are focused on one of the 5 main characters from Avatar, and that will give you a heavy block of colors for your deck. If you want to experience a pre-release near you, you can download the companion app, open up the store locator, and it will bring you up a list of every single store near you that's holding an Avatar pre-release. Now let's get into those mechanics. There are 4 new mechanics and 5 returning mechanics. First up, Firebending. Fire Sages has Firebending 1, but Firebending can be any number. Whenever they attack, you add red mana equal to the Firebending number to your mana pool. It lasts until the end of combat, and you'll find that a lot of Firebenders also have ways to spend the mana they generate. Fire Sages lets you pay 1 red to put a +1/+1 counter on it. It demonstrates the Fire Nation's aggression very well by giving you bursts of red mana during combat. Next, Airbending, as seen on Appa, Steadfast Guardian. Airbending exiles a target non-land permanent, and its owner may cast it for 2 generic mana instead of its mana cost at a later point. This works great with Blink and Flicker style decks, and because you can target any permanent, it's great for removal. The third element mechanic is Waterbending. On North Pole Patrol, you can Waterbend 3 by tapping artifacts and creatures to help with the cost. Each one you tap pays for 1, and then each Waterbend has different payoffs. North Pole Patrol's Waterbend ability taps down a creature on an opponent's board. The fourth and final element mechanic is Earthbending. As seen on Badgermole, Earthbend 2 in this instance. When you Earthbend, target land you control becomes a 0/0 creature with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the Earthbend number. If that creature land dies or gets exiled, it returns back to your battlefield tapped, ready to go again. The returning mechanics are double-faced Sagas, as seen on Rise of the Sozin. Once it reaches its final Saga chapter, the card transforms into its other side. These are extremely versatile and powerful cards. The Lesson card type also returns. Whilst they themselves do not do much, other cards in the set care about the Lesson type, like Aang the Last Airbender, who gains lifelink whenever you cast a Lesson spell. Exhaust, a popular mechanic from Aether Drift that's also returning. You can pay X and exhaust certain cards like Hog Monkey for an additional, often powerful ability. Clues are making a return too. Clues are artifacts that let you pay 2 and sacrifice it to draw a card. Azula on the Hunt creates a clue whenever you attack, which plays well into the Draw 2 archetype, which we'll go over shortly. And Shrines are back. Shrines usually care about the amount of shrines you have. For instance, when Southern Air Temple enters, you put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the amount of shrines you control. The archetypes are up next, and with this being a much bigger set than Spider-Man, we've got the full 10 archetypes for you to get into, and this will make your deck building much more versatile as you can go in multiple different ways. Let's get into them. First up, Blue-White Flyers is all about flying creatures. Signposted by Air Nomad Legacy, a 2 mana enchantment that gives all your flyers +1/+1. Next is Blue-Black Draw 2, all about drawing that second card each turn with clues and other abilities. Signposted by Foggy Swamp Spirit Keeper, a 3 mana with lifelink that creates a token when you draw your second card each turn. Onto Black-Red is Fire Nation Aggro. You attack aggressively with Firebending and combat boosts. Signposted by Crawl Administrator, a 5 mana 5/4 that creates a 2/2 red soldier with Firebending 1 every time it attacks. In Red-Green, we've got Earth Rumble Ramp. Go for big creatures and fast ramp. Utilize Earthbending and sit tight. Signposted by Bitter Work, a 3 mana enchantment that draws you a card whenever you attack with a creature power 4 or greater, and lets you exhaust it to Earthbend 4. In Green-White, we have Allies. Focus on the ally creature type for big rewards. Signposted by White Lotus Reinforcements, a 3 mana 2/3 that gives other allies you control +1/+1. In white-black, we've got Sacrifice. Get to your victory at any cost. Turn small creatures and clues into powerful sacrifice payoffs. Signposted by Tolls of War, a 2-mana enchantment. When it enters, creates a clue, and whenever you sacrifice a permanent during your turn, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. That happens only once each turn. In blue-red, we've got Combat Lessons. Fight smart, cast non-creature spells, lessons, and combat tricks to show your opponents who's boss. Signposted by Dragonfly Swarm, a 3-mana X3 with power equal to the number of non-creature, non-land cards in your graveyard. And when it dies, if a lesson card is in your graveyard, you draw a card. In black-green, we've got +1/+1 counters. Grow your board and buff with counters until you're unstoppable. Signposted by Daily Agents, a 5-mana 3/4 with Earthbend 1 twice. And whenever they attack, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them. In red-white, we have Go Ride Aggro. Build an army of tokens and swarm your opponents. Signposted by Sun Warriors, a 4-mana 3/5 with FireBending X, where X is the number of creatures you control, and you can pay 5 to create a 1/1 white creature ally token. And lastly, in green-blue, we have Ramp and Lessons. Draw cards, ramp, and use lessons to fuel your later game bombs. Signposted by Hermetic Druid, a 2-mana 2/3 that you can tap to add 1 mana of any color, or if it's a lesson spell, you can add 2 mana of any color. Now let's look at the best creatures for each color in each rarity. Pre-release is a very creature-focused format. You'll be swinging in a lot for combat damage, so make sure you pay attention to the creatures. Starting with white, in common we have Avatar Enthusiast, a 3-mana 2/2 human peasant ally. Whenever another ally you control enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. Great for extra power and toughness. In uncommon, we have Water Tribe Rallier, a 2-mana 2/2 human soldier ally, and you can Waterbend 5 to look at the top 4 cards of your library. Reveal a creature with power 3 or less and put it into your hand. Another ally and great for digging deeper into your deck. For rare, we've got Hakoda, Selfless Commander, a 4-mana 3/5 human ally warrior with vigilance. It lets you look at the top card of your library at any time, cast any ally spells from the top of your library. Then you can sacrifice Hakoda to give creatures you control +0/+5 and indestructible until end of turn. This gives you great card advantage and protection. And for Mythic, we've got Appa, Steadfast Guardian, a 4-mana 3/4 Bison ally with flash and flying. When Appa enters, you can airbend any number of permanents you control, and whenever you cast a spell from exile, you create a 1/1 white ally creature token. A great mix of go wide, protection, and great for airbending payoffs. Now for blue, in common, we've got Forecasting Fortune Teller, a 2-mana 1/3 human ally advisor that creates a clue on entering. It's a good blocker and initiates that extra draw. In uncommon, we've got Master Paku, a 2-mana 1/3 human advisor ally with prowess. Whenever they become tapped, target player mills X cards, where X is the number of lesson cards in your graveyard. This gets big fast with prowess, and it's a great disruption for opponents even with 1 lesson card in your graveyard. In rare, we've got Unagi of Kyoshi Island, a 5-mana serpent with flash and ward Waterbend 4. Whenever your opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw 2 cards. Great for staying ahead of your opponent with card advantage on a 5/5 body. In Mythic, we've got Wanshi Tong Librarian, an X-blue 1/1 bird spirit with flash, flying, and vigilance. When he enters, you put X +1/+1 counters on them, then draw half X cards rounded down. Then, whenever an opponent searches their library, you put a +1/+1 counter on them, and you draw a card. Insane card advantage on a creature that keeps getting bigger. In black, for common, we've got Corrupt Court Official, a 2-mana 1/1 human advisor that when it enters, makes an opponent discard a card. Great for early game card advantage. For uncommon, we've got June Bounty Hunter, a 2-mana 2/2 human mercenary that cannot be blocked if you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn, and you can pay 1, sacrifice another creature to create a clue token to keep that draw engine going. In rare, we've got Mai, Scornful Striker, a 2-mana 2/2 human noble ally with First Strike that makes your opponents lose 2 life whenever they cast a non-creature spell. This is great evasion and will make your opponents think twice about casting anything other than creature spells. For Mythic, we've got the Rise of Sozin, a 6-mana enchantment saga that destroys all creatures on 1, lets you choose a card name, search your opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards of that name, and exile them. And then on chapter 3, it transforms into Firelord Sozin, a 5/5 human noble with menace and firebending 3. Whenever Sozin deals combat damage to a player, you may pay X and put any number of target creature cards with mana value X or less from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Insane destruction, removal, and theft on one card that gets through easy. Now with red, you've got Yuyun Archers for common, a 2-mana 3/1 with reach. When it enters, you may discard a card, and if you do, it draws you a card. A great early game loot-in on a strong blocker. In uncommon, we've got Jaded Edge, a 2-mana 1/3 human noble with prowess, and you can exhaust 3 to put a double strike counter on Great for early blocking, it will grow fast, and it gets extra damage with double strike. In rare, there's Ran and Shore, a 5-mana 4/4 dragon with flying and firebending 2. When they enter, if you cast them and there are 3 or more dragon or lesson cards in your graveyard, you create a non-legendary copy of Ran and Shore. Then you can pay 3 and a red to give dragons you control +2/+0 until end of turn. And in Mythic, we've got the Legend of Roku, a 4-mana enchantment saga that exiles 3 cards from the top of your library and gives you to the end of your next turn to play them on 1. On 2, it lets you add 1 mana of any color, and on 3, it transforms into Avatar Roku, a 4/4 avatar with firebending 4. And you can pay 8 to create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with firebending 4. Card advantage, ramp, and insanely big creatures all in one card. Now onto green in common, we've got Ostrich Horse, a 3-mana 3/1 bird horse that mills 3 cards when it enters, and you can either put a land card from among them into your hand or put a +1/+1 counter on it instead. This ensures a land drop or a big creature way ahead of curve. At uncommon, we've got Haru, Hidden Talent, a 2-mana 1/1 human peasant ally that lets you Earthbend 1 whenever an ally you control enters. This is great for extra bodies on the battlefield. For rare, we've got the Earth King, a 4-mana 2/2 human noble ally that creates a 4/4 bear on entry, and whenever you attack with 1 or more power 4 creatures, you search your library for that many basic land cards, put them on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. Insane for ramp and your big creatures. Then for Mythic, we've got the Legend of Kyoshi, a 6-mana enchantment saga that lets you draw cards equal to the highest power among creatures you control on 1. Earthbend X, where X is the number of cards in your hand on 2. And on 3 transforms into Avatar Kyoshi, a 5/4 avatar that gives lands you control trample and hexproof. And you can tap them to add X mana of any one color, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Lots of big bodies, your lands are hexproof, they have trample and insane mana ramp. And onto multicolor, we've got Vindictive Warden at common, a 3-mana hybrid red-black, 2/3 human soldier with menace and firebending 1. And you can pay 3 to deal 1 damage to each opponent, a perfect blocker with extras for attacking. In uncommon, we've got Soccer, Lateral Strategist, a 3-mana hybrid white-blue 2/4 human warrior ally with vigilance. And whenever they attack with at least 1 other creature, you draw a card. Great for ally synergies and card draw. In rare, we've got Soccer, Tenacious Tactician, a 4-mana blue-red-white 3/3 human warrior ally with menace and prowess. That gives other allies you control menace and prowess as well. And then whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you create a 1/1 white ally creature token. This is amazing synergy all round for ally-focused decks. And now for Mythic, we've got Azai the Phoenix King, a 6-mana black-red 7/7 human noble with trample, firebending 4, and haste. It turns any unspent mana you lose red instead, and if you've got 6 or more unspent mana, Azai gets flying and indestructible as well. This works amazing alongside any firebending, and if you get it down, you're definitely going to take the game by storm. That's the creatures, and before we move on to the best spells and disruption pieces, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It helps a growing channel out, just like these amazing people have already. And it will also mean I can bring you more of this content, which I love making in the future. Now, let's get into the best spells and best disruption pieces for each color. In white, for best non-creature spell, we've got United Front, an X white-white sorcery that creates X 1/1 allies and puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. This is a crazy pump spell that helps allies and go wide strategies. The later you cast it, the better it is. And for disruption, we've got Airbender's Reversal, a 2-mana instant lesson with the option to destroy target attacking creature or airbend target creature you control. Great for protection and airbending. In blue, for best non-creature spell, we've got Spirit Water Revival, a 3-mana sorcery with an optional additional cost of Waterbend 6. You draw 2 cards, and If you paid the additional cost, you instead shuffle your graveyard into your library, draw 7 cards and have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Then you exile Spirit Water Revival. This is a wonderful way to draw cards for cheap or a refresh for your deck and hand. And for disruption, we've got Watery Grasp, a 1-mana aura that stops target creature from untapping during the untap phase, and you can Waterbend 5 to have the owner of that card shuffle it back into their library. Perfect for a cheap way to slow down an opponent's board and remove it later when needed. In black, we've got Obsessive Pursuit, a 2-mana enchantment. When it enters, at the beginning of your upkeep, you create a clue and lose 1 life. Then, whenever you attack, you put X+1/+1 counters on target attacking creature, where X is the number of permanents you've sacrificed this turn. And if that's 3 or greater, that creature gains lifelink as well. This is a self-sustaining engine for decks that focus on the draw 2 archetype, and it fits right in. For disruption, we've got possibly one of my favorite cards in the set, Day of Black Sun, an X-black sorcery that causes each creature with mana value X or less to lose all abilities until end of turn, and then you destroy those creatures. It's really versatile. It's a board wipe with control to help save the bigger creatures on your board. In red, for non-creature spell, we've got Fated Firepower, an X triple red enchantment with flash. It enters with X fire counters on it, and if a source you control would deal damage to an opponent, or a permanent that opponent controls, it deals that much, plus an amount equal to the amount of fire counters on it. Similar to United Front, this gets better the later you cast it. However, it can be a slow burn or a flash fire. No pun intended. For disruption, we've got the Last Agni Kai, a 2-mana instant that has one of your creatures fight a creature an opponent controls, and if that creature is dealt excess damage, you add that much red mana, and until the end of turn, you don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. So this is a brilliant fight spell with the option for ramp, fits into any red deck. And in green, for non-creature spell, we've got Leaves from the Vine, a 2-mana saga. When it enters, you mill 3 cards and create a food token. On stage 2, you put a +1/+1 counter on up to 2 target creatures you control. And then on stage 3, you draw a card if there's a creature or a lesson card in your graveyard. A nice all-rounder that can be played early in the game. For disruption, we've got Origin of Metal Bending, a 2-mana instant lesson that destroys target artifact or enchantment, or lets you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and give it indestructible until end of turn. A perfect way to protect your board if you need to block, or a way to destroy a game piece of your opponents. In multicolored, for best non-creature, we've got Bitter Work. As mentioned previously, it's the signpost uncommon for red-green, lets you draw a card when you attack with a creature powerful or greater, and you can exhaust it to Earthbend 4. And for disruption, we've actually got a land. That's Secret Tunnel. It's a land cave that cannot be blocked, fitting into Earthbending nicely. It taps for colorless, and you can pay 4 and tap it so that 2 target creatures cannot be blocked this turn. Double Rogue's Passage, and it can't be blocked itself when it becomes a creature. Perfect. With that info I have given you, you should be able to master the elements at your pre-release. I want to know how well you did. Let me know in the comments how well you did after the pre-release. Also, if you've made it this far, again, please consider subscribing. We're about to jump into the deck build. A lot of people jumped off at this point. That's absolutely understandable, so thank you for making it this far. Let me know in the comments what you want to pull from your pre-release, and now let's go on to the deck build. For pre-release, the goal is to build a 40-card deck from the packs and promo card that you open. You want 23 spells, with the curve being around 1 to 2 1-mana cards, 7 to 8 2-mana cards, 5 to 6 3-mana cards, 3 to 4 4-mana cards, 2 to 3 5-mana cards, and 0 to 1 6-mana cards, along with 17 lands. Whilst you can deviate from this, 17 lands is always a strong starting point. It's always best to stick with 2 colours and only splash a third if you really want to, or have a 3-colour bomb. I open all my packs and separate them into colours and whether they are a creature or a non-creature spell. Because pre-release is a creature-heavy format, you want to focus on securing around 16 to 18 creatures for your deck, leaving space for 5 to 7 non-creature spells. Now I've got these cards all organised. We've got some really nice cards to go over before I get into my decision on colour. So firstly, we've got Abandoned Air Temple and Jasmine Dragon Tea Shop. These are both great cards when it comes to the ally archetype. So you can buff your board with this one, and this one allows you to add 1 mana of any colour for ally spells. These are great, but again, I'm not going into white, as my white is very, very weak, especially on the creatures. I've only got 3. and then the rest are spells. So white is out of the question. I won't be using allies. Alongside that, with our red, we do have one great card in here, and that's FireBending Student. So FireBending Student is a 2-mana 1/2 with prowess, and FireBending X, where X is the creature's power. That's a very great card. We also have in green, we've got Badger Mole, which is a brilliant common, but we've also got Diligent Zookeeper. So this one here is great as it buffs non-human creature types. So we've also got Tough Hard-Headed Teacher. This again is great in the Earthbending, and we also got Bitter Work, which is a signpost uncommon for the red-green archetype. So even though we've got some very nice green and red cards, they might be great together for a second deck. My seeded pack made black really good. I got a lot of black cards, and a lot of those black cards like to create clues or focus on the drawing mechanic. They also have firebending, which is perfect. Alongside that, we did actually get the signpost uncommon for the draw, Foggy Swamp Spirit Keeper. A lifelink with 2/4. Whenever you draw your second card, each turn you create a 1/1 spirit creature token that cannot be blocked or block anything other than spirit creatures. This is making me feel like I should go down on this route. Blue-black draw 2 is my strongest option here, so let's get rid of the rest of the cards. Now we've got all of our blue-black cards set out in their mana curve, it's time to start cutting out what doesn't quite work with our draw 2 strategy. Let's start with our spells. I like to get this out of the way first to cover my bases, and then I can focus on the creatures. Of course, I've got to have Day of Black Sun. It's one of my favourites and possibly one of the best spells in the set. A great board wipe with control to destroy creatures. That is an absolute yes. Crashing Wave, I have noticed as well, is a really great card. So Crashing Wave is a 2-mana that taps up to X target creatures, where X is the amount you've waterbent, and you can distribute 3 stun counters among tapped creatures your opponents control. So if you waterbend 3, you can tap down 3 creatures with that, and that is perfect. Swamp Snare Trap is a great little 3-mana enchantment. It can make a creature -5/-3, and that a lot of the time will kill a creature. We've also got Heartless Act. This is a modal instant, so you can choose one, destroy target creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters from target creature, which is great for the Earthbend cards that you'll be going up against. Watery Grasp is another great aura. It basically makes a creature not untap, and you can waterbend to shuffle the enchanted creature into their owner's library. And we've also got Deadly Precision. With the amount of clues I'll be taking, I can sacrifice, with the amount of clues that I'll be creating, I'll be able to sacrifice this instead of paying the additional 4 to destroy target creature, and that is a great little addition there. And we've also got in here a nice draw. So Abandon Attachments is a 2-mana lesson, and this says you can discard a card if you do draw 2 cards. This ensures my draw for the cards that care about that, so I definitely want that one. This brings us up to 7 spells. I feel like that's a good baseline to start from. Now, on to our creatures. Let's look at those. For the 1-drop, we've got 2. We've got Callous Inspector and Tiger Seal, both really great cards. I would like to have 2 of them, but we'll have to see how we go with that. That's quite an easy keep. And then in our 2-drops, with Platypus Bear, it's not really a thing for me. The Pretending Poxbearers are a no. These ones, however, so Corrupt Court Official and Forecasting Fortune Teller are great cards. So this one makes an opponent discard a card, and it gives you early game card advantage over your opponent. This creates a clue when it enters, and it's a brilliant little blocker at a 1/3 for 2 mana. Otter Penguin, whenever you draw your second card, it becomes unblockable, and it becomes a 3/3 for 2 mana, which is perfect. Judy, one of many. I really like this because I'll be able to sacrifice artifacts with the clues I'll be making. So you can surveil one, create a token that's a copy of this creature, and then sacrifice an artifact or creature. And that's only as a sorcery, but a really great card for some extra advantage on the fact you'll be drawing a lot of cards. And then Master Paku, I really like this. A 2-mana 1/3 of prowess, and then whenever Master Paku becomes tapped, target player mills X cards, where X is the number of lesson cards in your graveyard, in a 40-card format, even if you've only got 1 lesson card in your graveyard. This is really good. So I think those are our 2-drops. Those are our 1-drops. These we will get rid of. In our 3-drops, we have Fire Navy Trebuchet. This is a perfect defender. It's a 3 mana 0/4 with reach, and whenever you attack, you create a 2/1 colorless attacking body, and that's perfect. So that's a great little addition, because even though that itself can't attack, it does create an attack at every turn. Of course, Foggy Swamp Spirit Keeper, the signpost for the archetype, 2/4 with lifelink, creates an unblockable 1/1 body when you draw that second card. Then we've got Pirate Peddlers. We've got 2 of them. So Pirate Peddlers are great. They've got Death Touch, they're a 2/2, and then whenever you sacrifice a permanent, they get a +1/+1 counter, and lots of clues will be sacrificed. So these will get big very fast. We'll keep those. Raven Eagle is a really good rare. A 2/3 flyer that exiles a card from a graveyard when it enters and attacks, and if that card you exile is a creature, you create a clue, and once you draw your second card each turn, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life, which is perfect in this. Evasion and more. We've also got a Tundra Tank, so I want to include one of these. You do have to crew it, but it has FireBending 1 and gives a creature indestructible until end of turn. So this will make up for only having 6 disruption pieces in my spells, as I've got the draw card as well. So we'll only have 1 of those. Vindictive Warden. Again, one of the best cards in multicolor. A 2/3 menace, FireBending 1, and can ping people for 1. So we'll definitely keep that. Hog Monkey, I'm not massively interested in this one. Into our 4 drops. The only one I am interested in is, straight off the bat, Azula on the Hunt. The seeded pack gave me Azula and I got another. It's a 4/3 with FireBending 2 and creates a clue for the draw engine, which Azula will be able to sacrifice with a FireBending immediately, so it guarantees me that second card each turn. So I definitely want both of those. Now, onto our bigger creatures. There's 2 that I'm interested in out of all of these, and they are the bigger ones. So we've got Giant Koi and Canyon Crawler. So Death Touch is really nice on the Canyon Crawler, but I think I will be playing more swamps, so the swamp cycling won't be as good as the island cycling on the Giant Koi. And the Giant Koi can be made unblockable just by Waterbending for 3. I'll have lots of clues and creatures to pay for that, so I definitely want this one. The only other ones that I might want to look at in here as well are the Beetle-Headed Merchants or the Geyser Leaper. So this is a 5 mana with flying. I can pay 4 to draw a card and discard a card. Again, guaranteeing me that second draw. But also on here, a 5 mana 5/4. Whenever it attacks, you can sacrifice another creature or artifact, which I could sacrifice a clue. And if you do, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So these are both also very good for this deck. What I might do is I might just take out one of these Pirate Peddlers, because they have Death Touch and they get bigger themselves, and then we'll keep those here. So we've got a nice curve going. Let's just see how many we've got. So we've got 18 creatures and we've got 7 spells. We need to cut 2 creatures. I think personally the Callous Inspector in our 1-drops, I think that is more according to our plan. It's got Menace and it does create a clue. This is a little bit more unreliable to untap, even though it is a 3/3 on a 1 mana body. I want to keep all of these. They're set, that's good. I think with these 2, I think the one to get rid of would be Geyser Leaper. Even though this has evasion, the Waterbend 4 to draw and discard isn't as good as sacrificing an artifact, which I'll have loads of, to draw a card and put a +1/+1 counter on it. And that's on attack, so that would work when all of these trigger as well. So that brings down our deck. That's all 23 spells. There are some great synergies, slightly more black than blue, so I think I'll go with 9 swamps and 8 islands. I'll put the full pool and deck list on my Moxfield linked in the description. That is my pre-release deck, and is that the best one? Probably not, but it will stand a very good chance. And that is because I have kept to the curve, I've made sure my creatures are in place, and they have some great synergies with the spells as well. Now, thank you for watching the whole video. Again, thank you for subscribing already, because I know you have this time, and let me know how well you did in the pre-release after you've gone. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.